Hello everyone. Hello and a very good morning to each and everyone present here. I am Arish Suhas Gazare from BTech second year and I will be your host for today. So today we have gathered here for Inspire, which is an event by ECL IIIT Guwahati. Inspire is a mega talk show where we all will go through different stages of startup development. On this fine morning, we should start with the topic of team building. So, what exactly is team building? What do we need to know before we form a team? What should our team comprise of? All these doubts will be cleared today by our special guest. So, let me introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker for today is Mr. Aarnav Jindal. He is a product manager at Scalar and a full stack developer with special emphasis on mobile app development. He had also appeared as a guest speaker at Google Developer Student Club GITAM Speaker Series. He is the founder of Coders.cafe, which provides pro bono mentorship to women in tech and has mentored over 250 plus candidates. He was also the founder of Tech Jobs and has had various internships to help increase his experience and was a technology director at Red Herring Ventures for 2 years. He developed an interactive gamified resume with views from 120 plus countries and with over 2 million plus downloads across Play Store and App Store. Hello Arnav sir, we all here at IIIT Guwahati welcome you and are very honored to have you here today with us.
Thank you,
So,
Arish.
yes, thank you sir. So more on the topic of team building, that's why we are here today. So now that you're here, I would like you to take over from here and guide us as to what exactly is team building and what should we have in our mind when we think to form a team and how did you incorporate that into your successful journey?
Got it. So firstly, thank you so much, team, and thank you, Arushi, for the warm welcome. Really appreciate it. Also, very happy to see 30 to 40 people in the session at 10 a.m. in the morning. I really didn't expect that much either, since it's a cold season going on, but very happy to see all of you here. So, talking about team building, right? In any journey, so the first thing that you do is probably idea building. Okay. And talking about idea building, I think you already know the concepts like product solution fit, and product market fit and problem solution fit. So product market fit is when you hit the area where your product is actually something that is working in the market, people are actually purchasing it. The one thing that is missing in this journey is probably problem solution fit, wherein before you even produce something and put it out in the market, you actually try to identify, based on the problem that you have, what is probably a good solution, right? Because even for solving a problem, there can be many ways to solve that problem. So problem solution fit is something that is missing in a lot of discussions that happen, and even the literature that you'll find online regarding startups. So having cleared problem solution fit, product market fit, we'll move on to team building. Now, you have an idea, that's great, right? But to execute that idea, to put forth that product in the market, you need a team of hustlers, right? The very important thing is, I mean, I have seen people who have great ideas, great vision, but unless you have a great team, that vision will amount to nothing in most cases. Even I'll give you some insight from the startup industry, right? Sorry, from the venture capital industry. For all of you who are aware of it, venture capital is the arm or the institution which invests in these startups, right? When you see that isko 1 crore ki funding mil gayi, who is giving that money? Those are VCs. Okay. The recent example would be Shark Tank, right? Those are all angel investors, but they are doing something similar to what VCs do. So VCs also, at early stage companies, while they do look into the idea, how good the idea is, how well formed the thesis is, a very major chunk uh, of their, you can say, evaluation is the team itself. Most of the evaluation is based on the team, that how are the founders, what are their backgrounds, what are the interpersonal dynamics of the founders, right? And do they have the hustle in them? So team building becomes very important. People in early stage investing say that you are investing in the founder, right? Because anything can fail, anything can work. You never know. That's the truth. Even the VCs who are in this industry for 10, 20 years, they also don't know. So what do they invest in? They definitely invest in the idea, but if you had to say how much of that whole pie was the team itself, it's probably 50, 60%, right? Idea is probably 10, 20%, and rest are some other things. So that's why team is a very, very important thing. Okay. Now that that's clear, we'll move on to team building. How does that work? So in a team, right, there are three types of people. Very simple. One is the visionary. The visionary is the person who sets out an unrealistic goal. It sounds unrealistic when you're beginning, but that's the thing you want to achieve. If today I say that I want to let's say start a milkshake company, okay, and anyone can say that. I can say I want to start a milkshake company in India. Anyone else can say that. And do you think that's a vision? Like, I want to be a milkshake company. Is that a vision? No, not really. Anyone can say that I want to be a milkshake company. I want to start a milkshake company. What would be a vision is when I say I want to make the milkshake company, which is the number one company in India. Okay. That's a vision. Something that is difficult to achieve, for which you need a lot of motivation, a lot of efforts, a lot of hard work, and then you achieve that stature, that mark, right? So that is called vision, where you have a long-term thesis about what you want to do, and it's not very easy to achieve, right? It's maybe 5 year, 10 year, 15-year journey. That's the vision. So any person who can have that vision, right? That's called a visionary. Because visionaries are less, right? Because you will find that many people will call you stupid when you try to have such a vision. If today I say, right, I want to be the number one milkshake company, okay, milkshake maybe not so much, I want to be the number one chips company in India. There are so many competitors. You'll say, okay, you are stupid, you won't amount to anything, right? But if you don't have that kind of vision, you don't form a motivation in your team or maybe even your customers to get behind you and support you, right? People come together and help you out if you have that kind of a vision which is difficult to achieve. Then people say, okay, this guy is trying to achieve something which is difficult, let me help them out, let me help him out, right? So visionaries are less, because going through that kind of criticism from your own peers, family, um, is difficult, right? When you're told you're mad every single day, you'll be told you're mad, but you need to have that vision. So those people are visionaries, very less. The best, I think, one of the best examples is Steve Jobs. Who knew that guy would change the computing industry, for everyone for the next century, but he had that vision, and he did all sorts of things to make that vision true. But that's why today we have handheld smartphones and everything. So that's the vision guy, right? Vision guy or girl, I mean, the visionary person. The next thing is strategy. Now, once you have a vision, okay, you need to be able to break down that vision into shorter chunks, right? Let's say I want to be the number one chips company in India. So while I said that, and I will show that I have a lot of confidence that I can do it, right? But how do I do that, right? That's the next question. So that's when the strategy part comes in, okay? Where you break down your 20-year vision into parts of maybe 4 years, right? You break it into 5 chunks of 4 years, and then you say, okay, every 4 years we'll achieve this thing. Okay, this 4 years I'll achieve this time I'll achieve this time I'll achieve this. Because if you just say I want to be number one company, how do you get there? You can't just say that you don't have a strategy to get there. You just say I want to be there in 20 years, but the strategy to maybe start a chips company the first 4 years, grow the company, acquire more customers, then scaling it up and increasing distribution, marketing, and then maybe going global. All those things, right? They are different chunks in the journey of a company. All of them require a very, very different strategy. So okay, so that's where the strategy person comes in, and the strategy person defines what are the milestones that you want to achieve. And after the milestones are defined, within the milestones you try to understand, okay, how do I even get to the first milestone? Okay, I said first 4 years I want to establish a company. You need to get a license, right? You need to get a product, you need to get some marketing, you need to get campaigning, advertisements, then you have to package the product, right? Everything is there. So even for that, even for those first 4 years, you can break it down further into 1 year chunks, and you figure out, okay, what would be the strategy in this year, this year, this year. So strategy becomes very, very important part of this entire vision. Okay, and for that you need a strategy person. Finally, execution. You have a vision, you broke it down into chunks, you have a strategy for each year. Now who will execute it, right? um, it's very difficult to get people to do things. I am a product manager, I understand it very well. It's even if there is someone who is maybe junior to you, on them you have certain authority, right? They have to follow you. But what about people who are not maybe under you, right? They're working with you on a similar level, or maybe they are senior to you. How do you get them to do the work? How do you make them do something? Or even let's say the government or the agencies, right? You have a lot of contractors, the government also, they also need to do something, some sort of work to let you do your work, right? And who does that? Who fixes that part? That's the executioner. um, they have that authority, right? They have that push, they have that pull, they have the magnetism to make people do certain things. And when they do it, people don't feel overwhelmed. Okay, there is a balance between the hard work that you can do and the kind of freedom you enjoy. Or maybe let's say on y-axis you have hard work, x-axis you have enjoyment. Now that in the industry people can move anywhere easily, especially in a tech company. So in a non-tech company, maybe it's still not relevant that much because people are dependent on that income. But in a tech company, right, if they are not enjoying their work, and if you keep on pushing them, right, hard work is too much, enjoyment is less, they will leave. And you don't want people to leave, right? You have to strike the right balance between enjoyment and hard work. So that's where the execution person understands, okay, how much I can push the person, and how much I can push the person without making them leave the team. Because when the person leaves the team, human resource is a very important thing, very difficult to come by, very difficult to train. So if you lose a person, it's a very heavy setback, and you always run the risk of more people leaving than you can manage, right? There's a theory where which says always have enough people in your team so that okay, if your team gets run on by a bus, right? And what is the number of people who, if the bus runs over, your team will fail functioning, right? That's called a bus theory, very brutal theory, but that exists. So you need to have that much backup also. So think about it, you don't need those people, but you still get them, because if x amount of people leave from your team will stop functioning. Very critical thing. So that's why the execution strategy, right, the execution person is very, very important. And without the execution person, you can think all you want, but things won't come to fruition, right? Then what's the point of even thinking everything? And that's the execution person. They are great people. So if you see, even Steve Jobs was a great executioner. um, execute he would, I mean, you must, if you've read his book, that guy had some crazy ways to get people to work, but he got things done, right? So that's also the execution part. So these are the three things that you require. One is, again, vision, strategy, execution. If you have these three qualities in your team, then you are on a good track. Then you have a right balance of the kind of people you need, and you can execute the things you want to. Finally, these were the traits of the people, but now coming very specifically to the type of industries, to the industries. There are two types of industries. One is the non-tech industry, one is the tech industry. So for the non-tech industry, what I just defined is fine enough. That's fine enough to go on with, but most of the companies now are tech companies, right? You don't have an automobile company anymore. You don't have a, I mean, anything and everything that you can imagine. It's just a tech company now, right? It will get disrupted by tech in some years, and services just become a part of it. But tech becomes a thing that you're selling, because tech enables the entire experience. Product, everyone will sell the same product, right? Which is a top-notch product. But the service differentiates things. So that service layer, that is defined by tech, right? So for that, if your team lacks a tech person, let's say you're making a tech product or a tech enabled product, and you lack a tech person, it's very unlikely that you'll come to a good conclusion. You need someone who is good in the field that you're pursuing. Let's say you want to make a fintech company. You have someone from finance, but you don't have someone from tech, right? You think that you can probably get someone from outside as a consultant advisor and get them to do the work. That doesn't work, right? You need the people with the information in your team itself. If you think you can outsource some of the work, which is part of the core idea, right? In a fintech company, finance and tech, those are the most important things. If you think you can outsource that finance and tech thing, um, that's I don't think that will come to a very good conclusion there. So make sure the kind of industry you are in, you have that expertise within the team. You cannot outsource that expertise. Okay, so as I said, in tech, you have the tech person. In finance, you have the finance person. Ed tech, you have the education person. So make sure those capabilities are within your team and you don't outsource that. You need someone who has some insight into the industry, who has worked in the industry. Maybe you can get a consultant also who is far more superior, far more intelligent. That's fine. Okay, you can get their knowledge, you can pay them, get their knowledge and use that knowledge, but don't completely outsource a part of your product, a part of your team to someone who you are paying, right? Some of that expertise should be in the team. Otherwise things won't work out and you won't even get the VC money, that without which it's a little difficult to survive in today's startup ecosystem. So these are the important things when it comes to a team. Finally, very important is that the team should have that sense of maybe brotherhood within each other, right? They should understand that if I fall out, if I fall, there is someone to back me up, right? Everyone has my back. They will support me no matter what, and I can trust them blindly. If you don't have that kind of a team who is willing to put in a lot of hard work, right? The daily hustle, they are ready to stay with you up in the middle of the night, work on things, execute with you, right? That's the kind of team you need. There's that charisma in the team, right, which drips from your face. If you have that kind of a team, people can see it on your face, right? That's what we need. So you need to have people who have that kind of charisma, who have that kind of faith in the idea, and finally have each other's back, right? All the positive qualities need to be there in the first internal team. That's the most important thing. I think that's the core idea of the entire thing. But coming to the larger umbrella, which is once you scale, right, what happens? While this is not something I should exactly be explaining because I've not exactly done that, but for anyone interested in hearing it, from what I know, from the very basic thing that I know, is you need a team of people who are highly motivated, right? You can't expect people to come in and where you just say them, right, these are the things I want to do, come here, take the money, do this. There's this very interesting phrase, term used by Marty Kagan. He's a famous product manager in Silicon Valley. He says that there are two kind of people. One is the mercenary, right, and one is the okay, I'm forgetting the other term, but he said that there are two kinds of employees. One is a mercenary who you give money and they will do what you want. Okay, so they don't care about the company, they don't care about the vision, they don't care about what's happening. They think that I am in this company just because I'm getting paid, and that's their only goal. They will come in, they will do the work, they will leave. They have nothing to do with the company at all, and they think they can be easily replaced, and you think that as well. That is the mercenary kind of attitude. But the other is where you're an asset to the company, right? Where you come in, you invest your time, you invest your thought also. It's not just blind execution. You think about the company. Okay, maybe even on the weekends you're like, okay, yeah, this was going on, I can make this better by doing XYZ, right? You need that kind of people, and that is very important in especially management roles or even some higher individual contributor roles. That's very important in your team. So at maybe the execution level, you can have some people who don't have that sort of thinking. That's fine. But as you go higher up the ladder in maybe a managerial role or a high level individual contributor role, you need to have that kind of people who think about the company as their own. They don't think that they are just paid employees. Okay, and that's how you scale out your company. So These are, I think, the important things when it comes to team, the kind of team you should have, the I think the different sections, segments in the team that you have. Yeah, I think that's all on team building from my end. That's what I know. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was fun. Open to any questions if anyone has any. Okay, seems like people enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Arushi or anyone else from Triple ITG team, are you guys there? How do we go to the questions? Okay, seems like they're busy. Guys, maybe you can drop in the chat if you want to know anything else till the team comes in. Happy to answer those questions, even related to maybe startups or anything. I'll try to explain to the best of my ability. Hmm. Guys, if any of you are from Triple IT. Okay, Shivangi is here. Cool. Guys, any questions, anything regarding startups, maybe team building, how to evaluate our own idea? Yeah, interesting question. So, Prahlad, how to evaluate is exactly, I mean, you will always have bias, right? Coming, like, there's this psychological study wherein it shows anything that you build or any idea that you have, you value it more than it really is valuable. This is an actual psychological study. So, to evaluate your own idea, the best thing you can do is firstly be detached from it, right? Never fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the problem that you're trying to solve. That is a very widespread saying and a very pertinent saying. Fall in love with the problem. So when you come up with the solution to an problem, right? Or maybe when you come up with a problem, how do you know this is a good enough problem to solve? The way you do that is you go out in the open market and you try to validate your own idea. Okay, so let's say that you are planning to make a coupon company. Let's say you want to make an application where the customer can handle all their coupons. So how you do that is basically you go out and you talk to people. Okay, you try to tell them ki this is an idea that I have. um, but you do exactly, I mean, it's a little difficult to explain the entire thing, but there's a book called The Mom Test. Okay, it explains it very, very well, how to evaluate your idea by going out into the market. It tells you a series of questions that you need to ask so that you don't tell someone what you're trying to build, but you get real, genuine feedback on your idea, right? You can have X number of ideas, but you need to go out in the market and validate them. So I'll put it in the chat maybe, Prahlad, and you can go out and read the book. Very short book, 100 pages, I guess. Very good and quick read. So if you can read that, you will find it in the second, third chapter, how to go about it. So I think you will enjoy that.
Hi,
So
sir. Sorry. I
yeah, no,
actually kind of lost my access for a little while.
no issues. Next question is from Prince. How I get to know that the person is best for my company? So Prince, as I said, I mean the best team is the kind of people you know you can rely on. So the best thing you can do is probably have a friend, right? Who, or maybe not even a friend, if not a friend, then someone who you know via someone, right? You have some source in the middle. You don't randomly hire someone. If it is someone you know because maybe of your college, maybe he's a friend, maybe because of similar industry, similar background, just try to have some sort of connection to that person. It shouldn't be completely random. Okay, then you can talk to the person and try to understand, okay, what do they think, what is their approach, and if they have a mercenary approach, right, wherein they think, okay, I can come in, I will get money and I can leave anytime. If they have that kind of thinking, right, the biggest red flag is when a person comes in and they say ki, how long do I have to stay in this company? or when they say मेरे को कितना share मिलेगा, what is the percentage of the company that I get. If they have that kind of questioning right in the beginning, not towards the end, right, then you understand that that person has no faith in the company. They just want to try out a startup. They don't care about the company, and that's a bad team to have. So I think basis that you can try to evaluate. The other is the three types of people that you need to have in your team, right? If they fit one of those criterias, great to have them. If you already have 2 to 3 people who have that kind of skill set, then I don't think there's a point in bringing more such people. So I think if you can go through these things, avoid family members. It's very difficult to have family in your team because then you can't. I mean, it's very difficult to argue with them about what's the best, what needs to be done. And I did it once. I understand the problem there. It's not a good strategy at all. Don't have your family members in there. So I think that's my suggestion for the team you're building. Next is where is it? What is first step after idea? Right. So this is Kuldeep. Yeah, Kuldeep. So I think the first thing after you have an idea is firstly analyze it yourself in a detached way, whether you yourself think that this is a good idea in a detached way, which is very difficult to do. But if you can think of it that way, great, right? Um, After that, what you do is you go out into the market, right, and do the mom test thing, where you talk to people, try to understand whether people actually have that problem. It often seems that you can think of a problem and a solution, but people don't even have that problem, or if people have that problem, they are not willing to pay for it. Okay, so there's no point in building that kind of a solution. So in that case, just avoid that solution, maybe move on to the next problem, or try to refine the problem enough that you can make a product that solves a problem plus you get some revenue out of it. No one is working for free anywhere, right? So just try to think about that. And again, the mom test is a great book. If you're building, you can definitely if you read it, you'll, I think, find a lot of insights there. Next, Pavitra, how to do market research, that what a person wants and how to get that data. Right, Pavitra. So great question. How to do market research? One, again, go out to the market. There's no substitute for going out in the market, right? There are 2 types of valuations you can do. One is quantitative, the other is qualitative. Qualitative means that you actually go out, talk to people, and get feedback, right? That's quality feedback because they will tell you what problem they are facing and why they are facing that problem. The other is quantitative, where you give out a questionnaire, or maybe you give out some survey to fill, and tens of thousands of people fill out that survey. Now you understand what people think about a certain thing based on the form that you shared, right? They can't really go out of the form, but based on the questions you had, they can answer you. But you can only understand what they are facing, but you can't ask them why, right? So that's a bottleneck there. But you need both kinds of both kind of surveys, right, to understand, okay, what is the problem people are facing. For that you need quantitative, and then maybe you go on to qualitative to understand, okay, the problem they are facing, why they are facing it, how they are facing it, see them live, okay, how they are interacting with your product. Then you try to understand, okay, this was the problem, this was the bottleneck, I'll try to fix it. Or maybe the other way around, you do qualitative first, you understand a problem someone is facing, then you do quantitative survey to understand how many people are facing that problem. So either way, I mean, there's no fixed way to do this, but you use these 2 strategies to do the market research. And the quantitative thing, right, you can get that data sometimes online, that's also fine. But qualitative research, do focus on that. That's I mean, that's the whole idea of doing the market research. um, Next from Rishabh, how do we even find more people? So, Rishabh, I didn't get your question entirely. How, like, for what phase, right? There are 2 phases. One is the initial company that you're trying to form, initial team. The other is where you're trying to scale. So, which kind of problem are you talking about? Maybe if you can mention it in the chat. Scaling. Okay, cool. So, Rishabh, for scaling, I think I wouldn't think about it that much, because when you're scaling, um, see, this is the thing. When you're trying to scale, you cannot nitpick. The biggest bottleneck to scaling is a person who wants to control the entire thing. If you do that, only a person like Napoleon was able to successfully, control every single thing, nitpick every single thing, micromanage, right? The only person ever to successfully micromanage an entire army and still win was Napoleon, but he never slept, right? He slept very less, and you don't want that kind of a scenario if you want to grow, if you want to scale. So leave it to the team. Okay. You When you're trying to scale, it's obvious that you have different arms in your companies, sales, product, tech, everything. So give it to the product guy, tech guy, how they should hire, and just make sure that the people you're hiring, um, they have that kind of attitude, that they like the problem you're solving, they align to your vision, and you can see them contributing in the long term. They are not just here for the salary or the perks. Okay. And finding, I think there are plenty of people on LinkedIn who need a job, who need something to do, so you can find them there. But I personally hate the idea of people, saying that we are giving you an internship and there is you will only get an LOR, no stipend. That's very stupid. Because then the labor is never valued. I am strictly against companies who, are giving out maybe 15 up to 15,000 rupees for a month for some month's paid labor, and what they're calling it is an internship. They will not give you quality work, they will not make you do anything. So make sure you don't go for such internships, and make sure you don't give such kind of internships where you are giving out manual labor work. So but yeah, you can find plenty on LinkedIn, Internshala, everything. There are so many platforms, you'll find relevant people there. Best is to connect via known people, known sources. But if that doesn't work out for you, I think on a scale, hiring can be done via these platforms. Next is Dipanshu is asking, is there any time to start startup after student life? Dipanshu, so see, huh? Guys, 1 second. Right. So when to start a startup? I think that's the question. So Dipanshu, there's no good time. I have found people who in their student life have found a startup. Which company was it? Pepper Inc. I don't remember the name exactly, but that company uses the NLP model to generate text, right? Pepper Inc. Something like that. Those guys were founders in college itself. I've seen many people who start in college, spend 4 to 5 years of their life, then finally things click. Scalar was one such thing. Um, that clicked for the founders after 4 to 5 years. The other is Misho. If you see the founders from IIT, they struggled in the industry for 4 to 5 years, after which they suddenly hit success. So that's also one thing. Finally, there are people who start in their 20s also, right? Companies like Pudan, which is very famous right now, they started in their 20s, in their 40s, sorry, after 20 year of work ex. So there is no such good time to start. The good time is, when, so what I personally think is, you should have a buffer. Okay. You should have enough amount of money that even if you try to work on a problem for 2 to 3 years and you earn nothing, then also you're fine. I personally think that's a good buffer to have. Otherwise, it can be difficult to go out and solve a problem. Other than that, people do start in college. I don't think I recommend that, at least in India, right? I think in college, you form the connections with people, you form certain skills as well, right? You understand what is management, you understand what is tech, how to get people to do work, everything. If you don't learn that and start building a startup, it's likely you'll find that you probably miss a certain skill that is important to build out a company. So I think I suggest that you finish college, maybe 1 2 years of work ex as well, so that you actually understand what happens in a company. That is my preferred way of starting a startup. But yeah, to each their own. You can have whatever way you want to, but just have that buffer with you and have some, I think, work experience and faith in yourself. That's the best thing. Okay, next is from Swati. She's asking how to pitch people. Okay. So Swati, how to pitch to people? Okay, so when you talk about people, right, there are a lot of stakeholders. There are customers, there is the internal team, there are VCs. So which one are you talking about? If you can maybe mention in the chat. Advice for. promotion, two types of, like for advice of. Okay, I'm still confused, Swati. Sorry for that. But cool. I'll try to understand from what I understood. So two kind of people you're looking for is someone to advise you. I think there are two types of people who can advise you. One is someone who is an industry expert, right? Those who have done a PhD or something, or who have been in the industry for long. You can pay them and get their guidance on a per hour basis, right? So consultants, you can do that. The other is you can find someone whom you can give a godfather status for your company, and if you are a great salesman, then you can sell them the idea that we need your help, and they will come in for free, right? Or maybe you give them a percentage of the company and they just come in and help you out. So these are the two kinds of people that you can seek for advice. So that is for the people for advice. Where do you seek them? I think LinkedIn is the best platform. You can search basis whatever criteria you require. Great platform. So I think advice, you can go there. For promotions, not sure what promotions means here. Marketing, sales, whatever. But I'm assuming marketing. So marketing, how do you find people to market? Again, I mean, that's just job hunt kind of a thing. You can go on Internshala and Monster Jobs, anything, and find people who do marketing there. So yeah, I would suggest that. I'm so sorry, I couldn't understand your question well. So just answered whatever I could understand. Hope that helps. If not, maybe you can ask a follow up or something in the chat. Next is from Aman. How to find that which type of startup should I start? So Aman, I cannot advise you which kind of startup you should go for, right? That's totally your choice. But what is the preferred kind of startup that you should do, right? Is where you understand the problem itself, when you have probably faced the problem also, and you are in the industry in which you face the problem. You were probably in the industry which you faced a problem. Let's say I have been a student for 12 years in my schooling, then 4 years in college. In between, there were so many tuitions. So I understand education to a bit, right? I even worked as a instructor in education sector. So I can understand what are the problems in the education sector. Similarly, Misho, right? If you're designing for Misho, you probably had to have some experience in the retail market background where they're selling clothes, right? So it's preferred that you have a background in the problem that you're solving. It's if you think like, okay, there is this company. Let's say there's okay, how do I take an example? Let's say Udan, right? You thought Udan is making a lot of money. They are raising a lot of money. Some momos company came on Shark Tank India recently. You think they are doing great with momos? उनको 1 crore की funding मिल गई. I'll also start a momos company and get 1 crore funding. But you have no idea about how momos work, how you store them, refrigerate them, how do you sell them, right? If you don't have that background, you just go in for the kill, for the money. It's likely you will fail, right? You don't have the differentiated insight into the industry which is required to solve the problem. So it's better if you do something at in the industry you've been in. So I always did something in edtech because I know it inside out. I know it well enough. So that's my suggestion for you. Next is from Prashant. Okay. Hi Arnav, as you were talking about stages of startup companies, Comet Labs, I've heard this company before. Okay. You were talking about stages of startup companies. How do you build hire a tech team at the stage of a company? So Prashant, okay. How do you hire? Okay, I don't know the stage you're at. I think you are someone senior. Let me see on LinkedIn.
So he has written,
Yeah.
he has given one more chat in the chat. He
Okay,
was
one.
referring to company as Scalar. And the
Right, but
subsidiary
I
is like Coding
think
Minutes.
I'm not sure if he has already like built a company or something. Uh, okay, I can't find Comet Labs. Okay. Actually, I wonder if he's a senior startup guy. So then I should not be advising the person, because you can't advise someone who has more experience, who is more senior to you. But okay, Prashant, I don't have the time to search you on LinkedIn right now. So as you were talking about start stages, how to hire your tech team at this stage of a company. Um, the company has scalar and subsidiaries. Okay. So Prashant, I think the way it worked for Scalar, right? We were a Series A funded company, Series A, Series B, I think $100 million. So at that point of time, they had a lot of team with them, which stuck with them for the first 4 years of the company, right? And most of them were from Triple IT Hyderabad, where the founders are from. So I think they took the team from their own friends, batchmates from college. That was a great thing. And some people who early on had a lot of faith in the company. But now that the company reached a stage where they are trying to blitz scale, right? We recently reached a stage where we are trying to blitz scale. So at that point, hiring, they just try to understand, okay, based on the kind of work that they see themselves doing in the next 5 years, right? They try to bring in a lot of people. Arnav Gupta is one such person. They were trying to build out a product called Scalar Forever. For that, they needed him. Then, since there are a lot of products in the portfolio right now, they approached Varun Hasija. He's my manager here, also a good friend of Arnav Gupta, and they both worked at Coding Blocks. Coding Minutes, another company. Prateek Bhaiya, I learned from him. Uh, he also was a part of Coding Blocks. Um, and again, a friend of Arnav Gupta. So these three, I think all the people who they recently hired, right? They firstly try to understand, okay, what is the long-term vision? Because based on the long-term vision, you try to hire people who have maybe that kind of skill set, or who are trying to solve for that problem, or who can look far enough into that problem. So that's how they wanted to solve it. For that, I think they went in for the kill at Coding Blocks team. All of them were at Coding Blocks earlier in some point of their life. So right. In the senior management, I think you need to have that alignment about where you see the company in 5 years. So that's how you go about that. The rest of the team, I think, you leave it to them, right? You cannot micromanage. So it's best if you can leave it to them to run the entire operation for themselves, which Arnav Bhaiya, Varun Bhaiya, etc. all did. They're hiring their own team. They have their own pattern, because I think each vertical demands its own sort of skill set, and you cannot define it for someone. You just need someone motivated, and someone who has the inspiration, who you can inspire to do some sort of work. So I understand how they hired higher management, but I have no clue how they deep dived into lower management hiring or lower individual contributor hiring. So I would just say, if you are at that scale, probably like of Scalar, maybe focus on hiring the higher level management people. The lower level management, the people themselves can hire for you. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I mean, that's how you scale, right? You cannot micromanage. If you have to scale, you have to delegate. That's what I'll say. But again, I have no. Well, I think you're someone very experienced, and I was a little shy to answer your question. But I hope that helps. Moving on, uh, we have Ritesh. He's asking, is it possible to earn 2 years by job and then start up? But that won't be much risky. So, Ritesh, see, as I said, a startup is always risky, right? Because it's very rare that in the early stages of the company you'll start making money, right? It happens very rarely. The product market fit, it generally takes up to 3 to 4 years to happen. Generally, it can happen at any point of time, but generally I've seen it take 3 to 4 years. Till then, if you don't have that backup, right, some safety money, which you think, even if things fail for 4 years, then I have some money to help me, some money to get back. Let's say ek saal hai mere paas, I have some buffer for the next 1 year to live on that, and then I also have the skill set to go back into the industry. I think if you have that kind of safety net, then 2 years job in the tech sector, tech is paying very heavily right now. If you are in a good product company, and you can earn decent amount of money, then I think 2 years is good to last you maybe 3 4 years, to have that safety net and even come back, because tech may you don't really lose that much, right, in 4 years. So I think 2 years is a good enough time frame if you're looking for that, but make sure you are in a product company which is paying well. So that would be my suggestion. uh, Next is Aman. He's asking, yeah, okay, I think he's replying to something. Next we have, okay, again Aman. Should our startup idea be unique from the existing ones, or we can work on ideas? Yeah, Aman. So the answer there is twofold. One is, when you're trying to work on an idea which already exists. So how do you? Okay, so anytime you want to build a company, right? you need to have some differentiated insight into what is firstly wrong maybe in the industry that's going on, or maybe somehow you can improve what is happening, right? So let's say again the chips company, it was such a saturated market, right? You could not have imagined someone coming in and breaking the market. But then you had this Tuyum, right? You will find it on every stand now. How did that happen? Such a saturated market, someone just came in and destroyed the market. He took away a major market share from Lay's, right? That is unimaginable. And that too in a market like India, where I'm sorry to say this, but you can bribe people to take out competition, right? You can do a lot of unethical things. How did he still survive and get such a major chunk of the Indian market? So he probably, as I understand, I've not researched into the case, but he had some good insights into distribution. Okay, so because of that insight into distribution, because of that finesse in distribution, he was able to conquer Lays in India. So that is one way you can go in for the kill, when you have some differentiated insight into what's not working well and what you can fix. The other is where you have something new to contribute. Let's say in the chips market, if you say, if you think, Tuyam did this also, right? We had a lot of uh, price levels for the same chips packet. For Lays, you have 10, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, even up to 90 or something. But that's the same amount of chips, that's the same type of chips that is being sold at different levels, right? But someone brought us, the Tuyum team brought in soya chips. They called them protein chips, right? That's a new product. I don't know if it works, if it's valid, or it's just a joke. But they brought in a new type of chips, right? That's an addition to the existing industry. Then you can carve out a niche for yourself. Okay, or maybe even if you see Pringles, although it's a Lay's brand only, but Pringles is also something different. It's not exactly the same chip, it's a different type of chip. So if you bring in something new to the industry, maybe you can carve out your own niche. So I think these are the two ways that you can get into the industry and break it. um, like, I understand this, maybe there are more ways, but I would suggest these are the ways you can go into an already existing industry. Prashant, yeah, sure, Prashant, would love to connect with you. I think it would be a good conversation to have. Ritesh is saying gathering people. Yeah, yeah. Ritesh, so the market right now is very hot for founders, especially since Shark Tank has come into India. People think it's a joke getting 1 crore rupees for a meager percentage of your company. And I think India may, even the startup infrastructure is very well supported by government right now. Government tries to, like, everyone who is not a startup founder probably thinks they are getting harassed a lot. But for startups, I think the government of India is doing a lot of good things. So since there is so much motivation right now, even at school level, you will see, even at college level, they have incubation centers and everything. So the ecosystem is very rich, and people from an early stage, they understand what is a startup, what are the risks, what are the advantages, right? When the information is out there, a lot of people understand startups well. So within 2 years time, I think it will, the information will improve further, right? And when information improves, adoption improves. So I think 2 years into the industry, you will actually find people within your own company or maybe in your surroundings who have similar thinking as you do, who are trying to solve for similar problems as you do. So I'll suggest that it's even easy after 2 years to find people with the similar mindset, right? Compared to right now in college. So where people are so much, looking into placements and everything, they have to worry about that. So I would suggest that, yeah, after 2 years, it's relatively easier. That's what I think. Next is from Prince. He's asking, before starting your tech company, have you taken any business strategy courses? So Prince, that is the funny thing here. I've never really made a paid startup, right? I never even thought of making a startup. Okay. I started two things. One was Codes Cafe, one is Tech Jobs. Tech Jobs failed. It's just now it's just LinkedIn kind of a page, but it has distribution. So I'm thinking how I can leverage that since I put in the effort. Codes Cafe has now become a big thing. We are now growing at a very, very quick pace, and never really thought of it as a startup, but now it's at a phase where it can grow into its own startup. And I now have the experience being in Scaler about how edtech works and how I can maybe monetize the entire thing as well. So that's why I think, like, I never thought of making something out of it. So business strategy or anything, I never did that. Now that I came into Scalar, I was taught a lot of things by my seniors. I had to learn a lot of things through books, podcast, everything. So you can say I eventually took a course in product management. So I don't think business strategy itself is a good way to explain what you need. Sorry, what you need to know to make a company. I think if you can do some PM courses, that will help, because it's often said that the PM is like a mini CEO, right? They do everything similar but on a smaller scale. So maybe if you can do some PM courses, that would be fine. A lot of free books are available. You can do that also. I never paid for anything. I learned on my own. I always do. So if you need some books or some free videos on that, I'm happy to help you out. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Uh,
Okay, sir, I think we don't have enough time anymore, so
okay.
I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so as we don't have any more time left, so that concludes our today's session on the topic of team building. And I thank Aarnav Jindal sir for taking out time out of his schedule for us. Thank you so much, sir. And this was a very informative and fun session, actually. So, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, guys, for hosting me. Very excited, very happy to be here. Saw some really interesting, insightful questions. Also, I am very surprised we still have 35 people in the session at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, guys, so this was our first session of Inspire, and we will have one more session tonight at 7 p.m. And I hope there will be active participation then as well. So I hope to see you all tonight. Have a great day, and bye.